block components, not only can you give it some HTML and handlebars to use within the component, you can feed it variables that come from the component. In this video, we're going to learn how to do that. We'll start off with a simple example in the email status. So we're going to yield the word hello. And then on the About page, we'll grab the word. The way we do it is we say as, and then we have these pipes. And between these pipes are where we put the variables, the data that we're using. And now we can put our word here. And we can see that it's yielded our word, hello. Now let's yield a second word. And we'll go ahead and call that word2. And we'll see that also yields. So you can put in as many things as you want into the yield block, and then you grab them as arguments here after as. And of course, if you feed in anything to the component, it goes before the as. Now let's tackle something a little bit more ambitious. So in the food item component, we have the isOpen property and the toggle open action, and those aren't specific to it being food. Let's go ahead and abstract those away from the food item component into a collapsible component. Let's create this step by step. First, we'll create the component, collapsible component, in the command line. Then we'll take the isOpen property and add it to the component, and we'll put in the toggle open action. Then in the collapsible component template, we're going to yield isOpen. In the foods template, we're going to put our collapsible component. And then we're going to get isOpen from the component. And what we're going to be putting within the block of collapsible component is what's currently in the template of food item. So we'll just grab all of this and paste it in there. And as you can see, it's already using the isOpen Boolean, and it was previously getting it directly from the food item component. Now it's being passed through to the block. Then we'll see that everything's showing up like it was before. And to show that we're getting this from the component, we're going to set isOpen to true by default. And there we go. They're all open at the start. Now we'll want to pass in the action toggle open so that we can use that in here. But that's not quite as easy as just passing in a Boolean. In order to get at that action in the collapsible component, we're going to have to pass in the entire component. So we do that using this. So we're going to pass in the entire component, and we're going to name that component. And then the action will be still toggle open, because that's what it's called, but we'll put the target as the component. So we're not targeting foods controller like we would otherwise. We're targeting the component that's being passed out here, which is the collapsible component. Now we can click these, and they are collapsible components. Awesome. But there is one more problem to fix. If we hit make unavailable, we'll get an error saying that nothing handled the action toggle availability. This is because we have the action toggle availability on the food item component, but toggle availability when it's called here is in the foods controller. So its target will be not the food item component, not even the collapsible component, but the foods controller. So let's go ahead and add that. And now it's all working. If you're ever wondering which JavaScript file to put an action in, know that it will target the JavaScript file that matches up with a handlebars file that you're in. So if we're in the foods template for the controller, it will go into the foods controller. If we're in a component like we were with food item, then it will go into that component. If we're within a block component, then in order to get it to target that component, we have to specify that, since by default, it will target whatever handlebars template it's in. So that's how we make a generic collapsible component. And of course, don't forget what we originally came here to learn: how to yield variables to a block component.